if we start seeing Lindis bans, that'll force Zane to seriously change it up.
Well, it's going to be an opportunity as 2 bans remain for Minority. Their first being Florentino with an immediate Teamy as well as Necroth banned away by PrideStark Empire.
So we're already seeing here that Minority is prioritizing banning just the very strong heroes. And I think they really need to get rid of Lindis at some point, but their opportunities are dwindling because PrideStark are not giving them the opportunity because they're just target banning.
Going to have to be an Elsu ban if Elsu isn't banned away here, which will then potentially force a Richter. If PrideStark is smart, they're not going to do it. They're actually going to potentially opt to ban the Lindis themselves. Nope. They switch over to Richter, which means that Elsu will have to be banned away by Minority. But what does that mean? It's going to mean an immediate Lindis available for PrideStark Empire.
That was actually PrideStark giving them a tip. They were just like showing, hey, this is who you should be banning. But PrideStark actually, I think, want to be able to use this game, now that they're sure they're in control of it, they want to be able to use this game
I like this.
To mess around with it,
like
maybe
this
see
a
if Zane can do something else.
I like this a lot better, actually. You take the Superman away from Minority, but now, I think if you're Minority, you have to lock in the Lindis. Instead, they say, nope, jump, we actually don't care. Talanis and Aram are locked in for Minority.
I think that's a mistake. I think they should have gone for Lindis. I think that
they
maybe
don't
God
play
can play
Lindis.
it. Maybe God has played it in the past.
He did not look comfortable.
Yeah, he did not. That's true.
I do not think Minority want to play Lindis, and that's why PrideStark felt comfortable letting it go through. They're looking for an engaged team fight comp so far. Omen, Superman, the 2 counters to each other. They've taken the Omen away from Minority's toolkit to stop the Superman, and they've got the Alice as well.
I don't think they can pick Varus.
No, so Varus is disabled until next week, so remember that is not actually going to get locked in. Alice and Omen are locked in for PrideStark Empire, so Beginnings gets back on his Season 2 favorite of the Alice, but now Flash for some dive as well as that Assassin in the side lane for January. Irie gets picked.
I like the Irie in theory. In practice, I don't know if it makes much of a difference. Very similar to the Panda we saw last game.
Zuka?
Yeah, the Zuka. If the Irie is able to get out ahead early and doesn't lose lane and the game goes their way, the Irie can get terrifying. But if the Irie at any point during this match falls behind, they will very quickly become useless.
I think the reason for the Irie is so that every time the Superman clears wave and runs over to help the team fight, Irie will not only clear the wave, but she'll clear the next wave behind the tower.
Yes.
And she's one of the most mobile heroes in the game. She can do that and get away without dying.
Also have to remember, Liliana is locked in for Casey Fox in the mid lane, which was banned away from him in game number 1. A character that he's clearly capable of playing. Lindis still getting into the hands of Zane as well.
That's so painful. The last pick, and they just pick up the Lindis. They're like, oh, look what fell into our pockets.
So this is either 2 things. 1, it's Minorities not taking advice from game number 2. We hope that's not the case. So then 2, we have to think that there is a strategy that they did employ because they are having more unconventional pick styles and priorities than what we have been seeing teams do in North America. Yeah,
they have more dive this game. And that may or may not be an answer to the Lindis, because I don't actually think they need dive. It's not so much being able to kill being able to kill him in team fight, because if Zane is contributing to a team fight, you've almost already lost. So you need to be able to get Zane before he's able to contribute to team fights, and a lot of that comes from early jungle invade. I'm looking to the Flash for maybe being able to do some of that.
I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I think in theory, Minority's comp looks really good. Because you have the arm, she can lock on the Superman. There's no one else really diving other than maybe a Liliana. So if you have one target to catch, one target that's always going to dive you, that looks great. You can have the Irie and the Flash and their Murad to dive onto the Lindis. I think it looks reasonable here for Minority. They have their Air Fortress comp.
It's also going to come down to Minority picking their skirmishes in the most efficient manner. PrideStark Empire is up 1 game. KO is already looking to fight with that Superman, and they're up against Minority for game number 2.
Daniel, I'm watching one thing, though. We were talking so much about Ring of the Fiend Lindis. Can we talk about Friendship Lindis?
Okay, Friendship is an ability on Alice. It gives you 30% speed, combined with the 50% movement speed from Ring of the Fiend. That gives every single hero on the side of Alice the ability to go maximum speed in the game. That's 800 units per second. If you want another way to measure it, it's 8 in-game meters per second. That's the fastest you can possibly go in the game. Any of Alice's allies can reach that max speed.
And hey, it's almost like that would be a really hard engage to deal with.
It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough.
So, keep an eye out for the Mach Speed PrideStark engage, because I think it would give Zane a very good platform to thrive from. Early on, though, no successful invades, really.
Some successful poke here from KZ Fox, though.
Yep, and that's something to keep an eye on, as J5 will just lose 1v1s in lane for a while.
Yeah, for a little bit, until he gets the ability to get in there for certain.
Beginnings. In trouble, J5, Mach Punch. He's got the kill. Maybe Gods was there as well, but KO's through, and J5's in a lot of trouble. It's a 1-1 trade.
From one DC character to another, here is a little gift for you, says KO.
And that's devastating. You lose the support over on PrideStark in exchange for the mage over on Minority.
You see January, though, doing his best to make sure that Superman loses farm every single time he does that. You saw he lost, I think, 1 to 2 minions. So look for January to continue to punish KO by just clearing the wave, even cutting the wave, to make sure that Superman loses out every time he joins.
Superman will go back to the top lane, though. January unable to stay there for too long. This Abyssal Dragon will also go over to PrideStark, thanks to the man advantage they got off that fight in mid. That means PrideStark have already built up more of a significant gold lead than they had during game 1. That is, they never went behind.
That is true, but Minority have been doing a good job of macroing themselves, and if you look at the gold league now, it's pretty much even. So again, Minority doing their job, making sure they're keeping this close, and at the end of the day, they do have Telenos in the bottom lane, so she's going to be able to really farm as well, and maybe perhaps match that of Lindis.
You know who we've seen a lot of today? We've seen an awful lot of Aurum.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about that?
Arm is a great way. Oh no, that's a disconnect.
He was stunned for so long.
No, that had to be a disconnect. He was standing there still. There was no stun. That's just unfortunate.
That is really rough. That is really rough.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see if January is moving when he comes back. PrideStark want to get some grounds. They've got Bay very, very low in the bot lane. 80's hero has to get back. Bay is already gone, and it will be 80's hero to join him. J5 flies past, but they'd only get the wave clear. They're not able to save their allies.
Oh. That hissy fit nearly was amazing because he almost couldn't use the temporal turbulence.
January does get back to lane, so maybe I think it might have actually been blinding light into Sunshine, or Friendship rather.
Maybe. He was standing there for so long.
It was a really long stun.
I was thrown out for a bit there, but hopefully there's no issues. But they have fallen behind as a result by a significant margin. It was tied about a minute ago.
Minority struggling as the fight comes through. Do you want to talk about the Aurum now?
The
Do we have a
Aurum.
moment?
So the Aurum, in this particular case, is a way to deal with the Superman. If there's only one dive hero and you take him out, then that hero is basically nullified for the rest of the game. He cannot do anything. He can't contribute to team fights. And if you can get a 5v4 for the rest of the game, that can be very powerful. Sometimes the only way to deal with these diving characters is to get the Aurum, because Alistar is too fragile. You're giving up too much in order to pick an Alistar because of the power of the mid lane heroes. And the same thing goes for some of the other lockdowns that you see.
Oh, January. That's a nice stun, but the execute doesn't quite get the kill. I will see the Omen actually battling in the bot lane, and that's my kind of problem. I do really not feel like the Aurum has quite the same chase potential as something like an Omen. It's more difficult to land the snares.
Right, I think it's literally just going for the defensive play. They're trying to hold them down when they jump in.
Cyclone. Death's Embrace already landed, though. J5 can't get out, and Raz got the kill. The tower trade did happen. Minority gaining ground up top, but I'm not sure that's enough because Zane is power farming. They've got the invade. KZ Fox does get held back. Maybe Gods goes in. The temporal turbulence is beautiful. Now January's arrived. Actually, this gets very dangerous, but the kite is beautiful. They keep January away. Maybe Gods must do the impossible, and he chooses not to attempt it.
A bit of a mistake there by January. He used the Dew, he used his Dragon ultimate, but it was a little bit off. He didn't get any members, which means he didn't get any damage, didn't get any shields, and they were able to get away scot-free.
Yeah, he spent both his dashes, both of his charges of Shadow, chasing to get into the fight. PrideStark saw that and just leapt over the wall right as they knew the ult was coming out.
Exactly, but we did see the best use of Snare yet, though, holding down Zane so that maybe God could finish off the kill. That is the best use that we'll possibly see from that if you can get a Zane. and maybe he can get that in the future as well.
Yeah, we did say the focus for this game had to be shutting down Zane. Maybe Gods is in trouble. Will be able to get out nicely. Bay, yet again, saving the day with a snare. However, the Cyclone from J5 doesn't find nearly as much success. He's in a lot of trouble, actually, as Bay's already gone. J5 will join him. January got lots of members with that Ryu, but it is not enough.
Yeah, January needs to be there a little bit quicker, or gets in there the fight when the fight is raging so he can get to the back line. His goal is to take out someone like Zane or Casey Fox in the back line, but when the fight is already over, you can't make that happen.
Might Golem up for grabs will be picked up by PrideStark.
PrideStark are doing all they can in order to get farther ahead, TJ. When they have the lead, they said, when we're ahead, we get farther ahead, we get in your jungle, we take your farm.
Casey Fox got that.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe God doesn't have the buff. Oh, that is painful.
I don't even know how. It must have just been a really well-timed auto attack.
Yeah, that, as good as Casey Fox is, I can't think that that was, like, he went for it. He went for the chance in between the temporal turbulence strikes and got it, but I don't think that's something you could really time.
I think his brain is really big.
And that could be true. That could also be the case here. Maybe he did just time it between temporal turbulence strikes. I'm just too in awe to believe it.
Yeah, Abyssal Dragon does go over the PrideStark though, so you may very well need to start believing it, because Zane is level 13.
That's what he does, TJ. Level 13. You compare that to the levels on the side of Minority. Level 10 for Maybe Gods. That is absolutely devastating.
And he has almost double the gold of anyone against him.
Yeah. I mean, I was about to say levels are nearly as important as goals sometimes because of the advantage that they give you in your abilities, in your stats overall. But yeah, exactly. But when you have both, it's just an overall slaughter. You see the two gloves, you see the cleaving claymore. That means Clavasangti, TJ.
He just kites him.
No, it doesn't matter.
He just backs up. Maybe Gods will get the kill. That's actually very good of him.
Ooh,
That's
jukes.
exactly what they needed. Bay does snare KZ Fox, slowing down the punish. Maybe Gods does have temporal turbulence again. If he could just trigger it on a key target, it's all worth it, but he's struggling to do so. He manages to dodge KO, but it won't keep him up. There's no snare to keep Bay alive either. He'll just need to back up.
That was amazing team play from PrideStark. They knew that Casey Fox could handle on the backside. They knew that the warp would come back to right where KO predicted it, and right when he came back, KO pushed him right out again, and that enabled them to secure the kill. Such a beautiful team play.
That was rude. Ra interrupted in the middle of taking his buff.
What?
He walks away with it anyway.
That's not his buff. That's not his buff.
That's very definitely his buff.
Who's the rude one? It's getting stolen.
First.
He doesn't even need mana. He doesn't have a mana bar, TJ.
I understand why this is making you agitated, but it was very definitely his buff.
That's not his buff, come on.
KZ Fox in the mid lane does poke back January. After KO got snared for a while, Minority unable to find the kills because of the level deficit and gold deficit they're now at.
This is just devastating for Minority. It felt like they were kind of in this game for a while, but just advantage after advantage went PrideStark's way, and now they find themselves in a situation just like their week 1 match where they just continuously got farther and farther behind, and PrideStark are walking all over them.
How do you get back into this game if you're Minority?
You continue to farm 80s Hero and Maybe God. Those are the two key heroes that can get you back into the game. That's the two key heroes that can allow you to delete a hero in one fell swoop. But it's difficult because there's just so much damage coming from the other side. How do you dodge against Zane when your heroes aren't even farmed yet? Look at Casey Fox is fighting 4 people!
He's so good! He just micros around all of them. It's a bloodbath as Maybe God falls. Finally, no! They don't get KZ Fox. J5 will find the killing blow, but they lose 3 full players for it. KZ Fox!
He literally just danced around them, and then Zane
picks up a free kill. Minority in a lot of trouble. It's only Bay to survive.
Zane's doing that thing again, TJ, where he just looks at you and then you crumble into the ground.
Who says Superman's got heat vision?
Zane certainly does as well. He's got his bow. He's got a bow.
Melting people. Look at the damage. Baby Gods is back. If he can get this wave clear, it's possible. But Zane's doing so much core damage, and he doesn't have temporal turbulence. As you say, J5 does go through the Cyclone. It's got the damage. He clears wave. The core tower itself takes out Ra. Finally, PrideStark overextend.
That is just rude. Ra was in the fountain.
It
and
one-shots
took two
you.
No, yeah, he normally one-shots you. He took 2 shots because
Yes.
he popped the Untouchable. Untouchable gives you 50% resistance on damage. And he says, I can take this fountain shot. That's not a tower shot, that's a fountain shot. It's supposed to kill you. And he's like, nah, I'm good.
He almost got the trade inside the fountain
He
itself.
almost did. PrideStark.
What are those numbers from Zane's crits?
They're not real. They're fake.
Oh, okay.
Oh, goodbye,
80s.
80s. Goodbye. Goodbye. Nice knowing you.
My God!
I'm not even sure he looked at him. He just like looked the other way. It wasn't worth his time.
When I say my God, it's because I need a God. Zane, that is devastating. The path back into this game has to be shutting down Zane every team fight, and I simply do not know how you do. Pei, you've got all the HP in the world, and it doesn't matter.
He wasn't even pulled back far enough from the Death Beacon before he died. Like, he was halfway
The
there.
animation didn't finish.
Yeah, exactly. And Death Beacon's a pretty fast animation. And that's an Arum.
Towers, I would say crumble, let's say shatter this time, because they are just being knocked over.
Disintegrate.
80s hero will play back. There's nice. Little hissy fit to slow down the push. Minority have an impossible task ahead of them, though. 80s hero will back up into the base. J5 caught inside. The Death's Embrace does have the Cyclone. That's got wave clear, but that's all it's got because they're all so low. Maybe Gods is doing good work, though. KZ Fox will fall. KO himself is low, but Zane looks at him and one-shots the Mirab that was doing so much. Now the Super Minions arrive. Do they have the clear? It's Pei. Yes, he does. They stall out a moment longer. Another wave's here, though. And only J5 still stands as the focus comes through. He's gone, and PrideStark Empire have game number 2.
That was brutal. PrideStark with the quad kill on Zane at the end there, just run through them. They let the minions get the credit. They let the minions kill the core. That's how much they were ahead in that game.